what I'm trying to say. So what happens is, so think about it like this, right?
Yeah.
So as an American, no
that
matter where
you
I go,
have
I get to be
incorporated in
human,
your
right?
daily
Because
Uh-huh.
once
entered
I
into
say
your daily
America,
speech and
people
even
are like, oh, I know Michael Jackson. I know I'm a fan of LeBron James,
Uh-huh.
right?
True.
I like, I love Zack Snyder, for example, right?
Yeah.
But in the reverse, like I said, but in the like I said, and for me, I would like that in the reverse. So, but for me, because I know a lot of history, I could say certain things, but that's not, again, that's not people every day now, right? Because of media, so on and so forth, and
That's
everything
true.
else. And
That's
so,
true.
with something like Frege, what that does is that it allows a population of Arabia or people in general to be human on a universal scale, right? So condoras and abayas are not things that are foreign because I grew up with these characters from Frege, right? So now when I see somebody in an abaya or a condora, it's when I see it, I'm thinking of Uncle So and So from my favorite cartoon when I was a kid called Frege.
But you know what, William? It's really interesting because and because you know what, I'm going to share this, and after this interview is done, I'm going to share it with the community and the people. William, question: do you think that people in America or in the West really care about that kind of content? Because I think that there's a lot of people here in the Arab world who produce a lot of creative and interesting Arab content for the Arab community that maybe they if maybe it didn't occur to their mind, why don't we subtitle that and ship it off to let's say production houses in the US or in different parts of the world. Do you think that people in different parts of the world really would care about content like for
Yes,
each?
matter of fact, even for me, there's an Emirati film out now about a guy who became a superhero. It's a comedy. I'm gonna go see it on my. I'm gonna try to go see it on my next day off,
No way.
right?
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So this is again because I saw the trailer. That's what I'm saying. I saw the trailer for it right before. I was like, man, this looks hilarious. And this is what I'm saying. So for again, and shout out the streaming services and shout out the Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the things that especially Netflix has done is that it's gotten Americans to watch more foreign content.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, that's really true. Yeah, that's
You know
really
what I'm saying?
true.
And so, and that's what I'm trying to say. At the end of the day, what you guys are dope is dope. So, like, look at Americans that you like, and this is what I'm saying. And I don't think that it's the American audience. I think it's the way that you guys perceive it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, right? Within the United States, I grew up off of Chinese cinema, all the old kung fu films,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
when you talk about the five deadly venoms,
Yeah.
into the hear what I'm saying? Wu Tang versus Shaolin,
Yeah, I
into the
remember.
36 chambers. Doesn't that sound familiar? And so think
Wow.
about it.
Yeah.
Chinese cinema was so popular to American kids that what happened? We ended up with a rap group called the Wu Tang Clan
It's
based
true.
upon
Yeah.
our exposure to Chinese cinema, right? Again, Japanese anime, right? And that's what I'm trying to say. So, again, older Voltron, that was our uh, Voltron, Robotech, Rick Hunter, that was our exposure into anime. So Harmony Gold takes Robotech, brings it over from Japan, and American kids are sitting there and their minds are blown.
Yeah, yeah,
Dope is dope is dope is dope is dope. So don't sit here thinking that because I look a certain way or I function a certain way, people are not gonna like what I have to say because at the end of the day, because and I'm gonna break it down, especially for the people out there. At the end of the day, Star Wars, right, is a very regional type story,
yeah. True.
right? So Lord of the Rings,
True.
right, is a very regional. Because I remember I had this conversation with Omar, and I told Omar that like when Arabia really starts to make films, like because superheroes could kind of in a sense be a very American thing,
Yeah.
but when Arabia starts to make films, what you're gonna find out is that for you guys, your superhero films come in forms of epics, very big stories. So like, what's that Turkish one that everybody's crazy about now?
I'm not really sure. Um,
It was made in Turkey. right?
it's an Arab, it's an Arab, or was it an Arab production? What kind of production was it? Maybe I
I
can
don't
look it
know
up
who
for you.
produced it, but I remember one Ramadan watching this dope series based upon, may Allah be peace with them, based upon Omar. That was that one
Yeah.
that was straight fire. And there's this other series from Turkey.
Okay.
Um
Okay.
Now, and that's what I'm trying to say. And people in the States watched it
And they care about this stuff.
and they liked it. Yes.
So, William, I want to let you know that Tariq is right now. He's right now live, and he's tuned into our check, hearing us out. He's saying "No la masa for you." So, shout out to Tariq.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. That's all kinds of, like I said, again, that's all kinds of messed up because I'm spitting truths that he doesn't want you to know. Like I said, Tariq doesn't want to tell you that he comes from a culture responsible for things like the 7-day week, the wheel, and all of that stuff. He's like, look, we've given the world enough, and I don't want to share anymore.
Also,
You know what I'm saying?
shout out to Faisal. So Faisal tuned in, gave a comment. Hey guys, what's going on? And Nadia, Nadia, I want to let you know that I'm gonna get you to my stream one day. Nadia is one of these epic girl gamers that I got to know over at League of Legends, and I mean, you know what, William? Like, it's interesting because I didn't know as an Arab, which you don't, for some reason, you still refuse to recognize me as an Arab, but
You know what I'm saying? It's okay. You're from Eastern Europe. There's nothing wrong with that, man. A lot of, yeah.
listen, I don't think, what was that thing that you told me about, when people depict certain religious characters as white Caucasian, when in reality, that was not the case. Um, but yeah, it's interesting to know. It's interesting to know that there are, cultures from different parts of the world that actually do care about the Arab culture that we have. And I think that would definitely be one of the icebreakers.
Look at Assassin's Creed, for example, right? The
Yeah,
followers of Hassan, Assassins. This is again, you look like you're talking about. So what? You don't think that a super Hollywood production about the Saladin wouldn't make money? Yeah, it'll make money.
yeah, true.
That's what I said. But again, Saladin was Kurdish, right?
Yeah,
Shout out to Kurdistan, right? But you know what I'm saying? But this is again, like I said, this is what I'm trying to get at. Or when you look at Armenia and David of Sassoon, like there are so there are so many amazing stories out there that have yet to be told. So again, like shout out to Tariq again, right? So I go to Iraq and and I forgot his name. I have it written down somewhere, and I discover one of the world's legendary oud players,
okay, okay.
right? And and I'm just listening to his music, and again, I'm telling you, my mind is blown. And so for example, like in America right now, one of the one of the main forms of music is hip hop. So right, so hip hop it takes a lot of samples, right? It could either compose its own
Yeah,
music
yeah.
or it could take samples from other music. And what many of you guys don't know, somebody like Dr. Dre or Timbaland or a lot of these producers or even the rappers themselves, these guys listen to everything.
Literally everything. That's true.
Everything. So Dr. Dre is probably at home right now listening to classical Chinese music for all we know,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And
true.
so when you look at for again once again shout out to Tariq, right? So the whole image of an angel playing a harp again comes from that culture, right?
Okay,
And
okay.
when you look at like a lot of instruments, especially once you have the Muslims advance into Europe, right? So
Yeah,
a lot of the influence that will come from the musical instruments that the Muslims had will eventually go on to help bring about classical music or flamenco music in Spain, et cetera, right? So, so for civilization is layered, right? The
true.
human beings, we all get ideas and everything from each other, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that I'm telling you, and so my thing is that I guarantee you, if you let that Iraqi oud player go mainstream, you'll probably have kids all over the world picking up that instrument.
There you go. There you go. Uh,
If you get what I'm trying to say.
yeah, yeah,
So this is the value of media where we get to be human, if you get what I'm trying to say.
yeah.
So if you meet me being African American and I'm traveling abroad, right, you're going to, you're going to say, oh man, I love Michael Jackson, right?
Okay.
Oh man, Muhammad Ali will always be the champ, right? So
Yeah.
so this is what I'm trying to say. In the reverse, right? You guys are being stingy and you don't want to come into our living rooms or into our lives the same way, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so my thing is stop being stingy. What are you being clenched fist about, right? Let go of that Tariq attitude.
He's claiming that he's claiming right now that not everything is his fault. So, but I think you've said something that's really good, and I think that that's something that should be applied not just on gamers but also on people in general. That if they, the best way to understand other races, sorry, other races and
Or cultures.
other cultures is to get out there, sort of just read, watch as much content as possible. I just actually a few weeks ago I watched Dune, and this is the first time I actually watched the movie. I completely skipped the '80s version.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see it. But when I sat there when I watched it, I mean, I watched it with Mary, and I sat there and when we were watching it, and I realized that there were a lot of terminologies and a lot of
Oh, there'll
that
be a test. I'm
that
waiting
mo-
for Tariq to watch it. I'm giving a test to you and Tariq. Again, hey, you really want to prove to me you are what you say you are,
yeah.
right? How do I know more than you do, right? There'll be a test.
By the way, when I watched that movie, I remember whispering to her, "There's a lot of things that are related to our Arab culture." But lisan al gharib. They kept on saying that, like lisan al gharib, and that
Yeah,
that's an Arabic.
even the original.
Yeah,
Watch the
yeah,
'80s version.
yeah,
You'll
yeah,
see it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I know that it was, it's basically it's what it's from a book. It's how many
Yeah,
books are
look,
how many books or how many
shame
chapters
on you. Dune is the father,
of the
the
father?
holy book of
Yeah.
all modern science fiction. Everything that you see, Star Wars, Star Trek, The Matrix, it all can be extracted and found within the Dune mythology.
As Razan, she explained it to me. She told me, imagine Star Wars meets Game of Thrones. You put the two together,
It's deeper than that.
it's much
Dune
deeper.
covers Dune is millions of years of history, fam.
Wow, man.
Millions of years.
Wow. And so it's interesting, people need to go out there more and check out more content. But yeah, I mean, do you honestly think that that's one of the biggest problems as to why some of the kids on gaming platforms, they tend to throw out racist stuff, um, even when they're playing like shooting games. Obviously, because I think the shooting games they contributes to some of that stereotypical
Well,
approach.
again, what you see on TV, living in a bubble, right? So shout out to the UAE, right, for being international as it is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
If you notice, right? So if you notice, well, then look at all of our crews of friends, right? So if you take Hobby Nation, for example, I'm from America, Faisal is from the UAE, right?
yeah,
Razan is from Jordan, right? Neo is from Armenia.
yeah, yeah,
Kevin is from India. Jay is from the Philippines,
yeah,
right? You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? You know what I'm saying? Jay is from the Philippines. Assad is Pakistani, right? And Abdullah also too is Emirati, right? Have you noticed that, especially within the geek scene and other scenes, have you noticed that across UAE, whenever you meet groups and crews of people, it's always multinational?
That's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And so even with us, like me, you, Choco, Tariq, we're all from these different places, right?
Yeah.
Different languages, again, different groups. And so what's happening is that in today's time, you're having people who are becoming more or less citizens of the world,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Than they are citizens of any particular place. And so UAE is one of those. UAE is one of those places where, you know, not only is there a Emirati cultural experience that you can have,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
or that you can embrace and enjoy, but there's also this cool fusion of other cultures and experiences as well,
yeah. That's very true. I
right?
agree with you.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? And
100%.
so this is, and so again, so for a lot of people, you have that bubble because at the end of the day, right? It's very when you're behind your video game screen and you're sitting in whatever particular country you are where the environment is mostly the same. When you actually get in front of another human being, life changes differently, right? So there's an African American man. I'll send you the YouTube link later. He's a blues player, whatever he is, and for whatever reason, right? He ended up befriending Klansmen from guys from the Ku Klux Klan and whatever kind of groups that exist,
Yeah.
and what and so those guys had a certain perspective about African Americans. And after meeting him, many of those guys have quit and left the Klan.
Okay. That's interesting.
Right? You get what I'm trying to say, and
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I'm trying to tell you in terms of how people have more in common. So, I go to Iraq, right? And my first conversations with the Iraqis were it was an Iraqi English teacher and a physics professor, and we argued the merits of time travel based upon the information presented in Back to the Future.
So
That
you
was my
use that as a
first
benchmark.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was my first conversation that I had with people from her. But this
Yeah.
again, and this is what I'm trying to say again. And shout out to Arabia, right? I'm fat now, right? Because yeah, I'm serious. But had I stayed in America, I'd be beautiful with muscles right now, right? You know what I'm saying? But man, yo, shout out to Iraq, Diyala province, stand up, man. When they took that goat and scraped the fat off of it and mixed it with rice and sprinkled some barbecue sauce on it and stuck that food in my mouth, I emerged as a new person, right? You know what I'm saying? I am telling you right now, right? Again, so from my own experience, weapons of mass destruction are Arabs with the grill,
that's that's
right?
that's a true weapon
That
of mass destruction right there.
that is a weapon of
Oh
mass
man.
destruction, right? You know what I'm saying?
Blame
And
it on the
so
food,
Arabs,
man. Blame it on the food. We make some really, really delicious food, unfortunately. I mean, we gotta blame it on the food.
well, you telling me?
Yeah,
That's what
man.
I'm trying to say. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
You haven't, you haven't,
Like
you
I said,
haven't, you haven't tried the proper Palestinian food yet. The musakhan, the mansaf. You haven't had that yet.
I'm gonna tell you something right now, man. Yeah, I've done muscle because I went. I'll never forget when I was working at Alpha Tang.
Yeah.
We went to a spot that had the Mensa, and I told my boss, I said, if you make me eat this, I'm not coming back to work. I'm going home to sleep because he kept saying, I'm gonna take you to lunch and we're gonna eat it. I'm like, look, right? And I ducked him for like 2 months, and I said, here's the deal. You take me to eat this, all I could do after I don't know what you're made of, where you could eat this and then go back to work for another 4, 5, 6 hours. And true to form, we went and we ate it. They went back to work, and I drove home and slept it off.
Yeah, man. I mean, where I work, it's they for them it's just like any other Tuesday when they eat mansaf. I mean,
How
they can go back to work
how do you
afterwards.
eat that and go back to
I
work?
don't know, man. I don't know. I tell you, for me, if I eat that, I definitely pass out. Like I need to recover.
I'm just so, and that's exactly what happened. We went, we had it, we had it, we went. I think at 1 o'clock, we finished by like 2.
Yeah,
Yep, they went back to work. I went home.
yeah, that's true. You know what? Listen, I'll tell you something. My childhood, it's a bit. So I was born in Kuwait, and then right around the Gulf War, we moved to Canada. Me and my folks, we moved to Canada. When we moved to Canada, things were a little bit tough because in the 90s, Canada was not what it is now, as liberal and as open-minded and as welcoming to different races as it is now. So my mom struggled a lot, and she was worried about me most of the time. So she made me sort of partake and celebrating Christmas and celebrating Halloween and celebrating a number of different Christian holidays. Because she wanted me to sort of make sure that, you know what, I was a part of the community, that I wouldn't be bullied because I was a Muslim. Because in the 90s, there was a lot of racism going on against Muslims. So, um, so I learned that, and my favorite teacher, or the teacher that cared about me so much and loved me so much and took care of me at school, was Jewish, and he knew that I was a Palestinian Arab. So, and I had that relationship with him, that I really cared about him and he really cared about me too. So I kind of grew up in that multicultural, different religions and getting to know
Yeah.
different cultures and getting to know different people. And then coming here into the UAE, I came to the UAE in 96. And, you know, being a Palestinian, sort of just moving around, I'm one of these Palestinians that are always constantly moving around, to finding a home here, to call this place a home. And that takes a lot of confidence and trust and love for the country, but also, like you said, it's that multicultural melting pot that what the UAE is here. So, you know, this is the one thing I always tell people, that if you don't want to be racist, and sometimes people are not racist, not necessarily they are, you know, it's in their DNA that they're racist. No, sometimes
Just ignorant, just
just
uninformed. Like I
ignorant.
said, yeah, just ignorant and uninformed. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. I've had a lot of people that have met me, right, and what they saw on TV or whatever perceptions that they had gone went completely out the window, right? So
Yeah,
for me, again, I'm from New York City. Shout out to New York City, right? So again, and so growing up in New York, right, I had the opportunity. So like again, I will again I have Jewish influence, Italian influence, Puerto Rican, Dominican, you know what I'm saying? Again, you know, other forms of a Latino influence, you know, various forms of Asian influence. Because I'm from New York City, and we're all there. You know what I'm saying? Right, like I said, again, right on top of each other. Right,
yeah,
you know, trading with each other. You know, be it within you know money and goods, culture, etc. Right. So there's so that's what I'm trying to say. So like, let's say for example, like had you guys had come to New York City back then, especially in the '90s, you would have been invisible because you know I'm serious
yeah.
because
It's true.
hijabis or people Muslim, that's just a part of the landscape of New York City.
True.
If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and for Dubai, and Dubai has that, and I would say what gives UAE the edge over it too is because in America to some extent, like you have to assimilate. So like if we're all going to work, right, the uniform is smart casual or whatever, in accordance to our cultural dress. Whereas many of the places that I worked here in UAE, I see people in all manner of clothes, like again, whether it's Emirati clothing, Indian clothing. So I've seen people literally go to work in their traditional dress, regardless of country.
True. That's true. That's true.
Whereas in the states, although especially for New York City, although we may have all these different ethnic groups of people, right? You're not going to, at least from what I observed, you're not going to work, or to school in your traditional dress. You're going with what the environment dictates.
Yeah, yeah. I think people in general need to get out there more often, read more often, sort of watch more films, try to get to know each other more often, try to understand different cultures, because you would be surprised as to how much you would learn and how much you would understand. You know, let me tell you something. I know this is I know this may seem a bit irrelevant, but I remember when
Yeah.
the Me Too movement first came out. Now, I'm not the kind of, just people should know, I'm not the kind of person that will follow what politics tells me. Like, you know, if whatever, you know, people are talking about, whatever is being sensationalized and so on. Um, but I understood the serious problems behind the Me Too movement. And I remember that when it first came out, um, the one thing that came to my mind is, you know what, are we, maybe me as a man, I could be, I needed to stop and put a pause for a minute and sort of rethink the way I approach women, or I talk to women, or I'm being friendly with women, right? So that Me Too move, so that particular moment, it made me sort of reflect on what has been done before and how I can be better at it and not be a part of the problem. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing when it comes to racism, or it comes to being stereotypical. Sometimes that, whether it was at the workplace or in general, you would sit down in a gathering and someone would pass a comment that would might seem stereotypical. Like, for example, saying the word "you people," or saying the example, saying, saying anything else. Um, and it makes people want to sort of, revise and rethink, you know our approach to various different topics, um, especially if you want to make fun of somebody, because of their ethnicity. Even if you want to, even if you want to even if you want to joke about it, I think that is a time to sort of, take few steps back, rethink what you're doing, rethink what you're saying, and then just be more understanding, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So for me, I've worked with women, but not in the traditional sense, right? So,
Yeah,
and shout out to the army, right? Because
yeah,
in the military, and and I mean, armies, U.S. Army, UAE Army, shout out to all of it, because in the in military culture, uh, it's in the combat arms, especially, things are more merit based. So, like, if you're a badass, you're a badass,
true.
right? At least in the experience that I've had. So, I've worked with a few wonderful female officers. They were helicopter pilots,
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
scout helicopter pilots,
yeah.
right? And, and like I said, and they one of them actually reminds me of Captain Marvel,
Okay.
right? And so again, and they, and for me, again, they were just badasses. They came in, they pulled their weight, again, did what they did, pulled their weight and then some, right? And
Yeah,
so for me, I've had the opportunity and like I said, it's not. I don't know what the corporate environment is,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So say in terms of, like I said, in terms of working with women, that's been very limited, because the women that I've worked with, the women that I've worked with in corporate environments, it was just more of, when we would talk to each other, it was more of an exchange of information,
yeah,
like, passing on of instruction, or things of that nature. So I don't even know, like I said, from a what you would call a Me Too perspective, like how certain types of relationship evolve,
yeah, yeah,
right? If
yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's
like I
true.
said, so again, like, yeah, so like I said, so for the people out there, again, beat me up if you want to. Like I said, again, I don't know, because like I said, when I was in the army, the women that I worked with, like I said, they were badass. They were helicopter pilots, right?
Yeah.
Helicopters with machine guns and missiles on them,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And their job as scout helicopter pilots was to fly lower than any other helicopter, right? To scout things that's on the ground, which is highly dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Super, super dangerous. And so again, tons, like I said, tons of respect. And then after that, the other ladies that I worked with, again, but the mutual respect was there, but it was more or less like hey, we need this spreadsheet by this amount of time, or this
Yeah.
presentation, or
Yeah.
did this go out, or did that go out. So it was, in the corporate environment, my relationships were really just straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Anyways, I mean, it's. I think, like, long story short, I think the most important thing is that people need to go out there more often. They need to read. They need to
Yeah.
interact with different cultures. Um, and I think that we need to be a little bit more mindful about, even the jokes that we say. I know Dave Chappelle, his recent stand up, obviously, as
Oh,
it
I
get,
want to see it.
I haven't seen it yet, but I know that, I love how a lot of there are specific certain groups of individuals that have not been too that have not found it too kind towards Dave Chappelle, predominantly the transgender community because of his continuous bashing towards them. But anyways, he said it before. Dave, he's explained it before that life has been hard on a lot of people. So the choices that people make these days, we gotta try to be a little bit more understanding towards it. He's always been a bit of a hot and cold. Throws the joke, a bit of dark humor, but then puts it down into perspective. Just get out there and have more conversations with each other and try to sort of understand perspectives from one another in order to have a much better perspective towards
Yeah.
cultures
Well,
and
that's
all of
what
that.
the Dave Chappelle show was all about.
Yeah, yeah,
It was a way of it was really designed to give people insight. It wasn't designed to promote bigotry, right, or
yeah,
to make light of it. The
yeah.
Dave Chappelle show was designed to, or even the Boondocks. The original design of those shows was to give you a perspective, right?
Mhm.
Another, a different way of looking at things.
True. That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah,
William Ruffin, my man. I
yeah.
know it's 11:30, and these two dads need to get some beauty sleep, right?
Facts. Yeah, man. So,
Listen,
like I said, man, yeah, bring Tariq on your show and ask him, why is he sitting on thousands of years of human history and not sharing it?
I think that should be the part two of this conversation. Actually, just a few minutes ago, he actually said, "Okay, now Will gets a lamasu." What's a lamasu?
Oh, a lamasu is it's a creature. It's called the winged bull, right?
Okay,
And it's like a sphinx-like creature,
okay,
right? It has the head of a man,
okay.
the body of a bull,
Uh-huh.
the and the wings of an eagle or a falcon,
Why is that
right?
so
And,
significant?
and they are and the lamasus, they're like like again like a sphinx, right? They're guardians to another realm or a
Yeah,
gate.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
all right.
So
So,
yeah.
so again, what's the beef again between you and Tariq? So we can hype it up for our next session. What's the beef between you and Tariq right now?
But before again, why are you sitting on thousands of years of history and not saying nothing?
All right. So everybody who doesn't know, Tariq is born Iraqi and he is an Iraqi. So that was
No, he never talks about Samaria, Uruk, Ur of Chaldees, Acadia, nothing.
and these cultures have significance
The
for
kingdom, the kingdom of Kish, all from the landmass of which he's from, and he says nothing.
that boy's gonna get into a lot of trouble.
He says nothing. That's what I'm saying. After Dune, I'm waiting on y'all, man, because after I'm just waiting for Eternals. So
Okay.
you better read up because after Dune and the Eternals, there will be a test.
Okay, okay. I think he's flying. He's flying in from Germany, and he's he told me right before the stream. He told me, please tell Will to take it easy. He really wants to get into the country.
Yeah, no, man. Look, and like I said again, it's all love, man. Because again, why do you know what's funny?
Yeah,
You know what's so appealing about the UAE to many people?
yeah,
For those of us who live here, the appealing things is, I know that there's a lot of promotion or glitz and glamour, but the main draw to this country for many people is love.
that's true. 100%.
You understand? So for the leadership here in UAE, there's a genuine concern for both the citizens and the residents.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? And people can feel love. There's not a person that I've known who've lived here for any amount of time who doesn't want to return or come back in any shape, form, or fashion.
That's true. I think that is one of the what I would say one of the reasons why it is so hard for a lot of people to sort of move on and or take into the idea of moving out of the country. No matter what the situation is, you know, like even if you're like, let's say you're having a hard time trying to get a job and whatnot, okay, you can easily pack up and go back to your home country, you know, and you don't have to worry about any of that. But no, you know, you have this, there's this thing that, you know, you just want to stay here, you want to be here, you want to
Yeah, man. It's
punch your way
yeah,
through it.
it's yeah, man. Like I said, again, it's love, man. And again, and it's funny, and it's a wonderful place where a smile could take you a long way.
100%, 100%. I
You know what I'm saying?
mean,
So, huh.
you know, big shout out to the UAE. Big shout out to the whole Gulf region. This is what this thing is all about. I think the UAE, for me, the UAE played a big role living here since '96. So after moving in from Canada and sort of taking in all that, a lot of people say, you know, you're more modernized, you're more liberal. I don't like to look at it that way. I don't like to put a name on it. I think we as humans are actually born to accept all of these different cultures and all of these different religions. We are born that way. It's in our DNA. It's not a trait. All right. So, you know,
Yeah,
when I came here to the UAE and been living here since '96, growing up, and then you sort of kind of pick up on it. It was so much easier because there's always this big amount of nationalities and different cultures and respect. We got a comment from a Twitch user. Um, yeah, he's saying in Arabic, "Wal ihtiram," which means respect. 100%, man. Shout out to you and
yeah, man.
shout out to the UAE. Shout out to every Arab and every Emirati in the world, man. Like this is what this whole thing has always been about. You get to talk to different people, different ethnicities, and you understand why it's so important and why it's so important not to be racist or insensitive because it does tap into a certain reality that you know we don't want to be a part of, which is you know division and like you remember when you told me about tribalism and individualism, and this is the thing that we want to stay away from.
Yeah, man. Like I said, yo, because at the end of the day, man, justice for all, right? As the Prophet Muhammad
Yeah,
teaches, right? You know, you're amongst the believers when you want for your neighbor what you want for yourself.
true. That's very true.
You know, so yeah.
The Twitch user, his name is, oh, you're gonna love this. His name is Jafar of Arabia. That's just amazing. Big shout out to Jafar of Arabia. I love
Yeah,
it.
shout out to Jafar. But that's what I'm trying to say. And so, you know, and for me, and signing off, one of the things that, you know, wherever I go in life, one of the things that I would for certainly copy from Arabia is the hospitality and the generosity.
That's true. That's very true.
You know what I'm saying? So you're so that is something I would definitely copy. And then again, shout out to Tariq because during the golden age of Islam or the Abbasid Empire, as I can recall, there was something called Al Hikmah, which was the House of Wisdom, where scholars from all over the world gathered to study. But does Tariq share any of that with you? Nope.
Well, now if you go to Sharjah, now if you go to Sharjah, there's a House of Wisdom over there, and they're sharing plenty of
Oh
that.
yeah, man. Shout out to Sharjah, man. But that's what I'm saying. Look, that's what I'm saying, right? But again, I'm just telling you, right, is that look, you know, again, once Tariq starts sharing, man, you know, maybe you know the world will be a better place.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
By the way, Jafar of Arabia just responded to me. So he's an American. So he's an American, and he's saying that Arabs have a big amount of respect to other races. I think that's what he's saying. But I like that. I like the spirit. I like what you're saying, dude, and it's amazing. Thank you so much for contributing to that. William, my man, it's 11:30 p.m. and I know that you, okay. So Tariq is telling you why are you treating him like Wikipedia? Well, he is sitting on a fortune of information. I'll tell you that much. That dynasty in Iraq is insane. The amount of information and history they have on the region is
Yeah,
crazy.
man. It's yeah, man. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm just saying, Tariq is Wicca. I'm gonna make a Tariqapedia.
Uh, you know what? That would be the title of our upcoming episode together, Tariqapedia, and we will have a.
Tariqa.
So, all right, dude. William, listen again. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
man.
I know 100%. This is not going to be. This is going to be one of many sit downs that you and I are going to talk about. William Ruffin, CEO and founder of Nerderati, 2022. Everybody,
Yes.
tune in. That's when William is going to launch Nerderati. It's going to be something fun. It's going to be something amazing. And Moose is signing off. Noob Dad Gamer is signing off. William, thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate your time, man.
Yo, man. Yo, it's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure.
All
You know
right,
what I'm saying?
man.
And when Nerderati drops and I drop that knowledge, if I come up missing, right? Yo, hey, Tariq is the first suspect.
I'm telling. I'm sure he's your first guest to the show. 100%,
Yeah.
first guest. All right, buddy. Everybody
All
signing
right,
off.
man.
Noob Dad Gamer signing off. Thank you, everybody. And I'll be back next week. So I'll be back on Thursday. I'm going to play around with some post production for this chat. And I'll be back on next Thursday for more League of Legends. And I will let you guys know who will be my second guest next week as well. Peace out, everyone. And good night. See ya.